A very good afternoon to all. So today let us start with esterification reaction. Okay, what is esterification? Esterification is nothing but formation of esters. What are the reactants in this? Alcohol or phenol when it is reacted with acid or acid chloride or acetic anhydride. Okay, if ester gets produced, we call that reaction as esterification. Let us see the reaction. Okay, let us consider an alcohol ROH. These are reaction with acid RC double bond OH. This is the acid. This reaction, it takes place in presence of an acid. Okay, let us think concentrated sulfuric acid. Concentrated sulfuric acid. So H plus, it indicates that this reaction is taking place in presence of concentrated sulfuric acid. That is the meaning. This leads to the formation of ester in this way. Ester gets produced and H2O will also get produced. So this is the ester which gets produced. The reactants are nothing but alcohol. This is nothing but acid, carboxylic acid. Okay. So in place of this alcohol, we can also consider phenol also. Okay. So this is nothing but esterification, and one more thing is nothing but the water which gets produced is to be removed frequently. The reason is nothing but, okay, since this reaction is reversible in nature, if water is present, again these two can react together to form this to form back the reactants again. That is why as soon as the water is produced here, it is to be removed so that the reaction will move in the forward direction. Okay. So in the same way, when we consider alcohol, these on reaction with acetic anhydride RCO of twice O. This is nothing but acetic anhydride. Acetic anhydride. So we can represent acetic anhydride in this way: RC double bond O, C double bond O, R. This is nothing but acetic anhydride. So alcohol or phenol, okay, when it reacts with acetic anhydride in presence of concentrated sulfuric acid, okay, it produces ester. Ester gets produced in this way. Along with this RCOOH, acid will also get produced. So this is the ester which gets produced. Okay, and one more reaction is also there. That is nothing but let us consider the reaction of alcohol or phenol, with acidic chloride, okay, ROH, or we can consider phenol in this way. This is on reaction with acid chloride, RC double bond OC, acid chloride, okay. This reaction, it takes place in presence of pyridine. Why we need to consider this pyridine? Pyridine, if you see the nature of this pyridine, it is a base. Pyridine, it is a base. Okay. So why we are making this reaction in presence of pyridine? The reason is nothing but acid gets produced in this reaction. The acid which gets produced here, it will be neutralized by this pyridine. Okay, so in order to neutralize the acid which gets produced on the reaction between alcohol or phenol with acid chloride, we use pyridine in this reaction. Simple thing. Okay, so ester gets produced in this way plus HCl. Hydrogen chloride gets produced. So hydrogen chloride which gets produced here, this will be neutralized by pyridine. So this is one simple reaction. So this is about esterification. So what is esterification means? Reaction of alcohol or phenol with acid chloride or acid or acetic anhydride to form ester. We generally call it as esterification reaction. What is important here? Why we are using pyridine when we are reacting alcohol or phenol with acid chloride? This is important. The next thing is nothing but why we need to remove water when alcohol or phenol when it is treated with acid. The reason is nothing but in order to avoid the reversible reaction. Okay, so when we are removing the water, okay, the reaction will move in the forward direction. So this is something about esterification reaction. Okay. So in these reactions you can understand the cleavage of OH bond. Okay. Now let us see some reactions in which cleavage of CO bond takes place. Okay. Reactions involving cleavage of CO bond. Okay. Let us see some reactions. So the first reaction is nothing but reaction with hydrogen halides. Okay. So let us see when alcohols are reacting with hydrogen halide, what is the product which gets produced. Okay. So when alcohol reacts with hydrogen halide, alkyl halide gets produced. Okay. So there are three types of alcohols now: primary alcohol, secondary alcohol, tertiary alcohol. Simple thing. Okay. Now when we are, let us take one simple reaction to understand this. Okay. I am treating this alcohol. It is a primary alcohol. Okay. These are reaction with dilute HCl in presence of anhydrous zinc chloride. Okay. It will produce halide in this way. CH3, CH2Cl. Alkyl halide gets produced in this way. Okay. So in the same way, when we are treating secondary alcohol, this is nothing but secondary alcohol. When we are treating secondary alcohol with dilute HCl in presence of anhydrous zinc chloride, okay, then these will produce secondary alkyl halide in this way. Okay. In the same way, when we are considering a tertiary alcohol, okay, these are treatment with dilute HCl plus anhydrous zinc chloride. Okay, tertiary alkyl halide gets produced in this way. This is tertiary, this is secondary, this is primary alkyl halide. Okay. So the reagent which we are using here, dilute HCl and anhydrous zinc chloride. So we generally call this reagent as Lucas reagent. Okay. So alcohols, primary, secondary and tertiary alcohols generally they get soluble in this reagent. Okay, but the alkyl halides which got produced, okay, after reacting with this Lucas reagent, they will not get soluble. Okay, so among these three things, if you see, tertiary alkyl halide will get produced easily because tertiary carbocation which gets produced here, it will be stable. Since that is stable, this tertiary alkyl halide will be produced fast. Okay. So the tertiary alkyl halide which gets produced here, it will form turbidity easily. Turbidity means what? Precipitate. It produces the precipitate easily or faster. Okay. Next is nothing but secondary alkyl halide. Okay, within 5 minutes, this secondary alkyl halide, it will produce turbidity. And when we consider this primary alkyl halide, okay, generally at room temperature, it will not produce any turbidity. When we heat it, it will produce turbidity. But at room temperature, the primary alkyl halide which got produced here, it will not produce turbidity. So based on the formation of the precipitate, nothing but how faster the precipitate gets produced. We can identify the type of alkyl halide, whether that is primary alkyl halide or secondary alkyl halide or tertiary alkyl halide. Okay, so this is a test in order to identify these alkyl halides. We can understand. Okay, you can observe this. So in these reactions you can see OH is getting substituted by the chlorine, nothing but the bond between carbon and oxygen which is present here, it is getting broken down. Simple thing. Okay, so in this what you need to remember, what is Lucas reagent? You need to remember dilute HCl plus anhydrous zinc chloride. We generally call that as Lucas reagent. Okay, so when we are treating these alcohols, primary alcohol, secondary alcohol and tertiary alcohol, okay, tertiary alcohol will produce turbidity easily because when tertiary alcohol reacts with this Lucas reagent, it forms tertiary alkyl halide, okay, which will be forming the turbidity easily. It will be insoluble. Since it is insoluble, it forms the PPT, precipitate or turbidity easily within no time. Okay, within 5 to 10 minutes, we can say that secondary alkyl halide will produce the turbidity. Next is primary alkyl halide. It will not produce turbidity at room temperature. Please remember these things. Okay, please note down. Now let us see the reaction of alcohols with phosphorus trihalides. We have already seen this in haloalkanes and haloarenes. Once again we are looking at this reaction. Okay, in haloalkanes and haloarenes, the same reaction which we are going to discuss now, we have seen in the preparation of haloalkanes. Okay, nothing but we have taken alcohol in this way. These on reaction with phosphorus trihalide. Phosphorus trihalide. Here halogen, it is nothing but it can be chlorine or bromine. Chlorine or bromine. Either it can be PCl3 or PBr3. Okay. Now it will produce alkyl halide in this way. Along with this, it will produce H3PO3. H3PO3 gets produced. Phosphorus acid gets produced. Phosphorus acid gets produced. Okay. Here also if you see, there is cleavage between carbon of this alkyl group and OH group. Okay. Halide gets added up here to form alkyl halide in this way. Okay. So this is a reaction with phosphorus trihalides. Phosphorus trihalides. Reaction with phosphorus trihalides. Okay. Let us see the third reaction. Okay. The third reaction is nothing but dehydration. Dehydration. From the word itself we can understand water molecule will get removed. Water molecule gets removed. That is why these reactions are known as dehydration reactions. Okay. So these dehydration reactions generally they take place in presence of protonic acids. Okay, in presence of protonic acids. Protonic acids. So what are protonic acids which give H plus ions? We generally call them as protonic acids. Simple thing. For example, if you consider concentrated H2SO4. Okay, this is a protonic acid. Phosphoric acid, this is a protonic acid. These are protonic acids. When alcohols are treated with these protonic acids, dehydration will take place. Okay, let us see. Let us consider a primary alcohol. This is a primary alcohol. Okay, this is on reaction with concentrated sulfuric acid H2SO4 at a temperature of 443 Kelvin. Okay, then alkene gets produced in this way. Nothing but ethene gets produced in this way. The same reaction can be made with phosphoric acid also, or the same reaction can also be made with alumina, Al2O3. We can also use alumina to make the same reaction, dehydration reaction. Instead of this concentrated sulfuric acid, we can use alumina also. Okay. Next, when we consider secondary alcohol, CH3, CHOH, CH3. This is nothing but secondary alcohol. Okay. This one reaction with 85% phosphoric acid, 85% phosphoric acid, and at a temperature of 440 Kelvin. Now, if you see the condition, it got reduced. Okay, when we are using primary alcohol, we are using high temperature when compared with the secondary alcohol. And here also, here if you see, it is 85% concentrated. The acid which we are using is 85% concentrated. So in the first case, it is more than 85%. Okay, concentration of sulfuric acid, it will be more here than in the second reaction. Okay, nothing but what I want to say is, for secondary alcohol and tertiary alcohols, milder conditions are sufficient in order to make them dehydrated. Okay, for secondary and tertiary alcohols, to convert them into alkenes. Alkenes will get produced, dehydration. When dehydration takes place, alkene gets produced. So the conditions that get required are less. Okay, so it will produce propene in this. Okay, propene gets produced in this way. When we are considering tertiary alcohol, let us see tertiary alcohol. How the reaction takes place, let us see. Tertiary alcohol. Okay. 20% H3PO4 is sufficient. See, the concentration from primary to tertiary alcohol of phosphoric acid is getting reduced. Nothing but we are using milder reagents. Okay. So when we are treating this tertiary alcohol with 20% phosphoric acid, the temperature that is required is nothing but 358 Kelvin. Temperature also got reduced. So it can form the alkene easily. It can form the alkene in this way. H2O. Okay. So this is nothing but 2-methyl propene gets produced. 2-methyl propene gets produced in this way. So these are nothing but dehydration reactions. So whenever alcohols are treated with acids like sulfuric acid, okay, or phosphoric acid or alumina, so dehydration will take place to form alkenes. So among these three types of alcohols, which will be undergoing dehydration easily is nothing but tertiary alcohol. Tertiary alcohol can undergo dehydration easily. Okay, the order will be tertiary alcohol greater than secondary alcohol greater than primary alcohol. It is based on the stability of the carbocation. Since tertiary carbocation is more stable, okay, so tertiary alcohol can easily undergo dehydration. Next is secondary alcohol, next is primary alcohol. This order is important. Okay, in objective point of view, this order is important. Okay, which of the following is the correct order for the dehydration of alcohols, they will ask us. So this is the order. Please keep this in mind. Okay, now I will give you the mechanism. I will consider ethanol as the reactant. Okay, how it undergoes dehydration. Okay, I will just show you. Mechanism. dehydration mechanism. Okay, let us see step 1. Okay, step 1 is nothing but protonation of alcohol will take place. Protonation of the alcohol will take place. Okay, CH3 CH2OH. This is nothing but ethanol. Okay, so when we are treating this with protonic acid, protonic acid is nothing but which gives H plus ion. Okay, it will form protonated alcohol gets produced in this way. H plus, it will go and bind to the oxygen here. So it will form a protonated alcohol. Protonated alcohol gets produced. So this is a fast reaction. This is a fast reaction. Formation of protonated alcohol is a fast reaction. So in step 2, if you consider the protonated alcohol which gets produced here. Okay, it gets converted into a carbocation. Okay, this H2O which is present here, it will come out. Okay, leading to the formation of a positive charge on this carbon. Okay, so carbocation gets produced. This is the carbocation which gets produced here. So formation of this carbocation from this protonated alcohol, it is a slow step. Since this is the slow step, it is the rate determining step. Okay. So second step, formation of carbocation is the rate determining step. So an objective question can be asked based on this also. How they will ask us? In case of deprotonation of alcohol, which of the following is the rate determining step, they will ask us. So formation of carbocation, okay, from the protonated alcohol is the rate determining step. Please keep this in mind. Okay, this is a slow reaction. Step 3. Okay, so from this carbocation, H plus ion from this carbon, it gets removed. Okay, this can be represented in this way also. Okay. So when this hydrogen comes out as H plus, this carbon will get a negative charge. Negative and positive will form a double bond. So this leads to the formation of alkene in this way. Ethene gets produced in this way. So this is about the mechanism of dehydration of alcohols. Okay, from ethanol to ethene. So this reaction takes place in presence of acid. So this is the mechanism. Okay, please take this. The next type of reaction is nothing but oxidation. Oxidation. So oxidation is nothing but removal of hydrogen. Oxidation is nothing but removal of hydrogen. So this is also known as dehydrogenation reaction also. Dehydrogenation reaction. Okay, so when we consider an alcohol, okay, so this is an alcohol. So when it undergoes oxidation, OH bond gets broken down, as well as CH bond gets broken down. CH bond as well as OH bond gets broken down, okay, to form either aldehyde or ketone as the products. Okay, so this is nothing but oxidation or dehydrogenation reaction. You can see here these two hydrogens, they will combine together to form H2. H2 will be liberated. Let us see some examples. Okay, so from the alcohol, okay, whether acid is to be produced or aldehyde is to be produced. Okay, it depends on the type of reagent which we are using. For example, when we are using a stronger reducing agent, okay, then it will make the aldehyde, it will make the alcohol to get converted into acid directly. Okay, so when we are using stronger oxidizing agents, okay, like potassium permanganate, okay, potassium permanganate, it is a strong oxidizing agent. When we are using that oxidizing agent with alcohol, it gets converted into acid directly. Initially this alcohol, it will get converted into aldehyde. Later that aldehyde, it gets converted into acid directly. Okay, so in order to stop the reaction at aldehyde stage, then we need to use mild oxidizing agents. What are the mild oxidizing agents? PCC, it is a mild oxidizing agent. Pyridinium chlorochromate or anhydrous chromium oxide. So these two oxidizing agents are mild oxidizing agents. Pyridinium chlorochromate and anhydrous chromium oxide. These are mild oxidizing agents. Mild oxidizing agents. Okay. So when we use these mild oxidizing agents, okay, these primary alcohols, they get converted into aldehydes. Okay. For example, when we are using the same these mild oxidizing agents with secondary alcohols, then these get converted into ketones. Primary alcohols, when they are treated with mild oxidizing agents, they get converted into aldehydes. Secondary alcohols, when they are treated with mild oxidizing agents like pyridinium chlorochromate or anhydrous chromium oxide, they get converted into ketones. Okay, but when we are using a strong oxidizing agent like potassium permanganate, okay, so alcohol, it gets converted into acid directly. Keep this in mind. Okay. Let us see the reaction. RCH2OH. This is a primary alcohol. So when we are using potassium permanganate, it is a strong oxidizing agent. Initially, aldehyde gets produced in this way. Okay. So RCH2OH2 RCHO. Nothing but hydrogen got liberated now. Oxidation has taken place. Oxidation is nothing but removal of hydrogen only. That is nothing but oxidation. So alcohol got converted into aldehyde. So it will not stop here. It will get converted into acid directly. Acid gets produced in this way. So the aldehyde which got produced here, it will further get oxidized to acid in presence of strong oxidizing agents. Okay. Now, when we are using mild oxidizing agents, primary alcohol on treatment with pyridinium chlorochromate, PCC, then the reaction will stop at aldehyde. Or instead of this pyridinium chlorochromate, we can also use chromium oxide, anhydrous chromium oxide. The reaction will stop at aldehyde state. Okay. So pyridinium chlorochromate, if you see, this is a mixture of PCC, pyridinium chlorochromate. So this pyridinium chlorochromate, this is a mixture of pyridine plus chromium oxide plus HCl. So this composition also you need to remember. Okay, pyridinium chlorochromate, it is a mixture of pyridine plus chromium oxide plus hydrogen chloride. So if you see the structure of this pyridinium chlorochromate, so this is nothing but pyridinium ion and chromate will be present in this way. So pyridinium chlorochromate. Okay. So this is something about oxidation. Okay. The next thing, some more reactions are also there. Let us see those reactions also. When we are passing vapors of primary alcohols onto copper at a temperature of 573 Kelvin, passing vapors of primary alcohol on copper at a temperature of 573 Kelvin, then aldehyde gets produced. Aldehyde gets produced. Okay. The same thing when we are passing vapors of secondary alcohol, okay, onto the surface of copper metal at a temperature of 573 Kelvin, then ketone gets produced. Okay. But tertiary alcohols, they will not undergo oxidation. They will undergo dehydration to form alkene as the product. Keep this in mind. Okay. Tertiary alcohols, when we are passing the vapors of tertiary alcohols onto the surface of copper metal at a temperature of 573 Kelvin, okay, alkene gets produced. Okay. In this case, dehydration has taken place. Oxidation of tertiary alcohols will not take place. Okay. Instead of that, dehydration has taken place. Remember this in mind. Okay, please keep this in mind. I will show the reactions. Copper at a temperature of 573 Kelvin, then aldehyde gets produced. Primary alcohol. Just remember that primary alcohol, if it undergoes oxidation, aldehyde gets produced. Okay. Secondary alcohol. When we are treating this with copper at a temperature of 573 Kelvin, ketone gets produced. Okay. When we are considering a tertiary alcohol, for example, CH3, CH3OH. This is nothing but tertiary butyl alcohol. These on treatment with copper at a temperature of 573 Kelvin. Dehydration will take place. Nothing but OH group from this carbon and hydrogen from this carbon. Any of the carbon will get eliminated as H2O. If OH is getting removed from this carbon, okay, this carbon will get a positive charge. When hydrogen from this carbon, if it gets removed as H plus, this carbon will get a negative charge. OH minus and H plus, they will combine together to form H2O. Now this positively charged carbon and this negatively charged carbon, they will combine together to form alkene as the product. Okay. CH3, C double bond, CH2, CH. Nothing but 2-methylpropene gets produced. 2-methylpropene gets produced. So these are some reactions where cleavage of CO bond takes place. Okay. Please take this. Now let us see reactions of phenols. Okay. Reactions of phenols. So in reactions of phenols, we are going to discuss now about electrophilic aromatic substitution reactions. Okay. Electrophilic aromatic substitution reactions. Okay. Let us see these reactions. So from this word itself, you can understand electrophilic, okay, aromatic substitution reactions. Nothing but electrophile will get substituted on the aromatic ring. So that is why these reactions are known as electrophilic aromatic substitution reactions. In this, let us consider phenol first. Let us see why phenol undergoes electrophilic substitution reactions easily. Let us see. So the OH group which is present on this benzene ring, okay, so it will increase the electron density at ortho position as well as para position. Okay, the OH group, due to its resonance effect, OH group, the lone pair electrons which are there on this oxygen atom, okay, they will be in a resonance with this aromatic ring, nothing but benzene ring. So the electron density at ortho position and para position will increase. When the electron density increases at ortho and para position, okay, electrophile can easily get substituted at these two positions. Simple thing. The OH group which is present on the benzene ring, okay, so it is ortho para directing group. So it will direct the electrophile to get attached at ortho and para position. Why it directs the electrophile to get attached at ortho and para positions? The reason is nothing but, so due to resonating effect, the lone pair electrons which are there on the oxygen of this OH group, okay, they will be in conjugation with the pi electrons of the benzene ring. When they are in conjugation, the electron density at ortho and para position will increase. So since electron density at ortho and para position increases, electrophile will go and bind at ortho and para positions. Okay. So electrophile requires electrons only now. Where electron density is more, there they will go and bind. Okay. So that is why these phenols can easily undergo electrophilic substitution reactions easily. So in this, the first reaction which we are going to discuss is nothing but nitration. Let us see about nitration. Okay. So phenol, when this is treated with dilute HNO3, then it will produce orthonitrophenol as well as paranitrophenol. Two types of products get produced in this. This is nothing but orthonitrophenol. So this is ortho position with respect to OH group, that is why orthonitrophenol, as well as paranitrophenol gets produced in this. So the electrophile which gets produced from this dilute HNO3 or in this nitration reaction is nothing but NO2 plus, that is the electrophile. So it will come and bind at ortho and para position. Okay, so this is nothing but nitration reaction. The second thing, when we are treating the phenol with concentrated HNO3, concentrated nitric acid, okay, then the product which gets produced is nothing but 2,4,6 trinitrophenol gets produced. Okay, 2,4,6 trinitrophenol gets produced. So this 2,4,6 trinitrophenol, we generally call it as picric acid. We call these as picric acid. Keep this in mind. Okay, so see the difference between dilute HNO3 and concentrated HNO3. When we are treating phenol with dilute HNO3, orthonitrophenol and paranitrophenol gets produced. Nothing but mono substitution has taken place. But when we are using concentrated HNO3 with phenol, okay, so tri-substituted product gets produced. So see this, please see the difference. So in objective questions, they can ask this. Okay, phenol on treatment with concentrated HNO3, which of the following product gets produced? phenol when it is treated with dilute HNO3, which of the following product gets produced? So they can ask us. Please keep this in mind. So what is the electrophile which gets generated here means nitronium ion. NO2 plus gets generated here. That is the electrophile. Okay. So this is about nitration reaction. And one more thing. Okay. When we consider these orthonitrophenol and paranitrophenol, which will have more boiling point. So paranitrophenol will have more boiling point when compared with orthonitrophenol. What is the reason, I will say? Okay. Let us see the reason. Let us see. The question is, why orthonitrophenol has low boiling point when compared with paranitrophenol? Let us see this. Okay, why orthonitrophenol has low boiling point when compared with paranitrophenol? Simple thing I will say. Okay, the reason I will say. So this is nothing but orthonitrophenol. Now the hydrogen of this OH group and oxygen of this NO2 group, okay, they will form a hydrogen bond in this. So what kind of hydrogen bond gets produced means intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding is formed. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding gets produced. Okay. So what is intramolecular hydrogen bonding? If hydrogen bond, if it is formed within the molecule, we call it as intra. Intra means within the molecule. If hydrogen bond is produced within the molecule, we call it as intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay. So in case of orthonitrophenol, intramolecular hydrogen bonding got produced. Now when we consider paranitrophenol, okay, so these are nothing but paranitrophenols. So in case of paranitrophenol, if you see NO2 group and OH group, they are opposite to each other. Okay, so they cannot form intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding is not possible in paranitrophenol, but they can form intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay, nothing but between paranitrophenol molecules, okay, hydrogen bonding can be produced. The oxygen of this paranitrophenol, we can form bonding with the hydrogen of this paranitrophenol. Okay, so since here hydrogen bonding, since it is produced between two paranitrophenols, we call it as intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Since hydrogen bonding is present between the molecules, so more energy will be required in order to break this bond and convert these paranitrophenols into vapor states. Okay. Since hydrogen bonding is formed within the molecule here, the energy that is required to convert that into vapor will be less. Okay. Simple thing, when we want to convert this paranitrophenol into vapor, first we need to break the bond between phenol molecules. Okay, then only it can get converted into vapor state. But in case of orthonitrophenol, in between the molecules, hydrogen bonding is not formed. Within the molecule, it is getting produced. That is why less energy is required to convert that into vapor state. So, Orthonitrophenol has low boiling point when compared with paranitrophenol. Okay, hope you understood. Please take this. The next electrophilic substitution reaction is nothing but halogenation. We have seen nitration. The next reaction is nothing but halogenation. Halogenation. Let us see about this halogenation. Okay. Generally, when we see halogenation of benzene, generally it takes place in presence of Lewis acid, like anhydrous aluminum chloride. Okay. Anhydrous ferric chloride. Okay. Generally, halogenation of benzene, it takes place in presence of Lewis acid. The reason is nothing but Lewis acid, it is the catalyst which helps in ionizing the halogen. Okay. But in case of halogenation of phenols, okay, catalyst is not required. Nothing but we don't use generally anhydrous aluminum chloride or anhydrous ferric chloride. These catalysts will not be used. The reason is nothing but, okay, in case of phenol, OH group which is present on the benzene ring, OH group which is present on this benzene ring, it will act as an activating group. It will activate this benzene ring for the electrophilic substitution. That is the reason why we don't require any catalyst for the electrophilic substitution of phenols. Or in case of halogenation of phenols, okay, catalyst is not required. The reason is nothing but OH group which is present on the benzene ring will itself act as a catalyst. Nothing but it will activate the benzene ring by donating the electrons. That is the reason. So when phenol, when it is treated with bromine in carbon disulfide, okay, it is a less polar solvent. Okay, it is a low polar solvent. Carbon disulfide is a low polar solvent. That is enough in order to make electrophilic substitution on phenol. Okay. So these will produce 2-bromophenol and 4-bromophenol. It gets produced in this way. Okay. Or orthobromophenol and parabromophenol gets produced in this way. Instead of this carbon disulfide, we can also use CHCl3. Chloroform can also be used. Okay. That can also be used as a solvent. Okay. They are low polar solvents. Carbon disulfide, okay, CHCl3, they are low polar solvents. Okay. Now when phenol, when it is treated with bromine in water, okay, then these will produce 2,4,6 tribromophenol gets produced in this way. 2,4,6 tribromophenol gets produced. So formation of this 2,4,6 tribromophenol, okay, it will form as a PPT. 2,4,6 tribromophenol. How can we know that it gets produced? Means it will form as a white PPT. White PPT. Formation of this white PPT indicates that 2,4,6 tribromophenol got produced. So here also you need to understand that when phenols, when it is treated with bromine in carbon disulfide or chloroform, okay, mono substituted product gets produced here. Nothing but orthobromophenol or parabromophenol gets produced. When we are treating phenol with bromine water, okay, then tri-substituted product gets produced. So in objective questions, this is also important. So they will just give the reactant as phenol and the reagent as bromine in CS2. Which of the following product gets produced? Or they will give phenol and bromine water. They will ask us which of the following product gets produced. Okay, please keep these things in mind. Okay, so in today's session we have seen esterification reaction. We have seen reactions involving cleavage of CO bond, nothing but a reaction with a hydrogen halide. Okay. Next we have seen about oxidation reaction. Okay. Then we have seen about dehydrogenation, oxidation or dehydrogenation. Both are same only. Okay. So next we have seen about electrophilic substitution reactions like nitration, halogenation. So these are the topics which got covered in today. Okay, so please watch again if you are having any doubt. So the remaining things like Kolb's reaction, Riemann-Tiemann reaction, okay, we will see in the coming video. Thank you all. If you like the video, please give a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all.